Inside I give thanks and the highest praise. Grandma said to Mama Earth, connect out the space.
Hello and welcome to the stream. I do hope I'm making it out. Cross my fingers. That was one of the a real last minute dash, to be honest. I'm really sorry about that. If someone can give us a thumbs up just to make sure you are hearing me okay, I think that might be a little bit better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, that was a bit weird. I've been all kind of ahead of the game. Everything's been fine. And then suddenly I realised it was about 3 minutes to, or 5 minutes to, and I had to say hello to the wonderful Jamie from GeoSynths. If you happen to have watched that, that was such an excellent programme. Thank you, Sass, for telling me I sounded good. That's really good. Yeah, hopefully a lot of you came from over there. He's such a lovely guy, and he did a show on the new Oberheim, and honestly, it's the best demo of the Oberheim I think I've ever seen. And it made me want to buy one. For some reason, it hasn't grabbed me in that. Well, I can't afford a new Oberheim. I'll just start from that point of view. But even if I could, it hasn't grabbed me enough from the demos. And then suddenly, when he started playing and the patches that he put together, it was brilliant. So I might show a little bit of that a bit later. Hello to everyone in the chat. If you missed it, actually, that's GeoSynths. Go and have a look at GeoSynths. That's Jamie Morden's channel that was on slightly before me. Hello to EML Sound, who did a lovely post at 5 o'clock this afternoon, 2 hours before we come on, saying my favourite part of Sunday. Cannot wait. Oh, thank you so much, sir. And hello to 10 Mil, to Tony Duncan, to Maudio. I think that's how you pronounce it. Synth Addict, loads and loads of people. Lady Aptitude, Stephen Frey, Grace Griffin. Hello to you, Grace. We Talk the Skeleton Gas. That looks like a new name to me. You're very, very welcome. Big love in the chat to you, sir or madam, or they. Hello to Movement 81. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant jamming band. They are, I say jamming band, artists. They are incredibly amazing artists who happen to do hardware jams that are just off the scale. Movement 81, it's absolutely brilliant, and some amazing graphics as well. Hello to Sinriser. Inky's in the chat. Inky is our moderator in charge of absolutely everything, so it'd be nice to her. She's also single-handedly responsible for almost all the streams and most of the live jams that are in existence now. And then from a live jamming perspective, there seems to be a critical mass going on now, which is absolutely wonderful to see. Loads of these EMOM nights are being set up, which is the electronic music open mic nights, including Div Kids, which isn't really an EMOM event, I don't think, but Div Kid is running a modular meet next weekend, and I think I can throw something up there. It's in Leeds, so if you're in the northern part of the UK or you fancy a trip up there, Saturday the 13th and Sunday the 14th of August, that's next weekend, at the Belgrave Music Hall and Canteen in Leeds. So that's Ben, who is also known as Div Kid, he makes amazing modular videos and has been doing it for forever, it feels like. So informative. And a little like Nick Batt, who was on the stream 3 weeks ago now, I think, probably responsible for a lot of people spending a lot of money in their time, to be honest. But be great to have your support if you're up north. I think Jamie, as mentioned, is going up there. A whole bunch of people. It's probably a little too far of a trip for me. But yeah, that's definitely worth a visit. But the other EMOM nights that are opening up as well, it just feels that people being able to go and see live electronic music made from modular or from groove boxes or collections of live sounding instruments, whether they're driven off sequences or manually or whatever, is becoming a big thing. And that's due in part to the Hardware Jams music group and to Inky and everyone behind it, and a lot of the other jamming groups around, and just basically due to the people getting out there and putting these nights on. So hats off to you. I think it's absolutely wonderful. And when I've got enough courage up to go and do a proper live jam, I will attend and do it, really. People like Gaz have the guts to do that already. Hello again, Paul Artola, Look API, I Sing the Body Electric, Sinriser. There's so many people, so thank you so much for joining us. If you are new, we're here every Sunday at 7 o'clock for an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that, usually chatting with a guest or two. It's more of a light entertainment Sunday, kind of raise the spirits before the Monday morning. We don't really talk about synth news much. Hey Paul Glenn, thanks for saying hello. We kind of talk a little bit about life sometimes. We have a fun quiz around about 7:30, which is run by my 10-year-old daughter. And that'll be about half an hour. And then we spend the last hour or so just chatting about more real things about music, you know, what synths do people have maybe. Today's guest is flipping awesome. A really, really lovely guy called Richard Doak. And he goes by the artist name of Doak 16. Grace Griffin, I will bring him on, I promise. Grace Griffin is saying there's an email in London coming up, so obviously we'll trail that here as much as possible, and I will definitely see you there in the audience, if not on the stage, because it's just so exciting, absolutely exciting. Doak 16, who is another one of these epic live jammers, musicians and so forth, but in his other life, he is a music therapist for young people, which I'm really fascinated about because obviously it's a fantastic thing to do. And I want to know more. I think music as a therapy thing is a wonderful, wonderful thing. David Surchek, do you know what? The horn is off. Well, give me a second and I'll put it on. David Surchek, $19.99 super sticker, $20 from you. Thank you so, so much. I really appreciate it. I'll give you a special horn blast in a moment. That was part of the last minute. For some reason, the last 20 minutes went super quickly in a moment. So hold back on your donations if you want to hear the horn. The Mr Wiggly Super Horn fires. All donations go through to Great Ormond Street Hospital directly in full. YouTube's cut is made up by me and it goes all the way through. So David, if you stand by, I will enable the horn. And we're doing so well. I'll explain all in a minute, but we smashed $7,500 last week. It's good saying it in dollars because it's slightly higher. It's £6,234, which is just incredible. So if you have $5 to spare during the course of this video, and you hold on for a little bit because I will enable the horn, because basically it blasts our ear off, so you actually get something for your money, as well as the goodness of supporting Great Ormond Street Hospital, which are an amazing UK based children's hospital. Then please bung them our way by the way of sending us a super chat in the chat if you're watching. But hold off, I'll try and enable the horn whilst we meet and say hello to our absolutely epic guest, Richard Doak. Welcome to the stream, sir. It's a real pleasure to have you on. Thank you.
Hello.
How's it going, sir?
Yeah, hear me fine?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Right, couple of quick corrections. The pronunciation of Doak is not Doak, it's Doak.
Oh no!
As in so yeah, I'm a Doak 16, not a Doak 16.
Oh, that is terrible. That's the first time. Oh, I'm so sorry. All right, that's a...
Okay, correct.
I'm really sorry.
It's such a common mistake. Correction number 2, I'm a music youth worker. So not so much a therapist.
Therapist, a youth worker. Well, that's gone really well.
So that's a great start,
we had a good old chat before the show. Apart from that, okay. Well, hold on one second.
Apart from that, you nailed it.
Yeah. Okay, so welcome to the show, everybody. Really, really good to see you all. My amazing guest today is Richard Doak, who is a music youth worker. Not to be confused with being a member of musical youth, for those of you of a particular age. Okay, and let's welcome Richard Doak. Hello, how are you, sir?
Hello.
I'm awfully sorry.
Went smoothly.
It did, didn't it? No one will notice. We'll edit it out later. It'll be fine.
This isn't live.
No,
right?
of course. My word. Okay, so I will enable the horn in the background, and
not the horn.
Yeah, exactly. Tell us what got you into music first of all. A lot of people that come on the show is like, well, I heard a tune, and I wondered what that sound was. Particularly if it was synth, they're like, what was that? What's that noise? How can I make that noise? I mean, what was your intro to getting involved in the whole thing?
Okay, well, I think, this will probably resonate with a lot of people tuning in today, but I come very much from the sort of rave background.
Okay.
So from the early 90s, I think I was at secondary school, and a friend introduced me to sort of rave in and around sort of 91, 92. And I just fell in love with the sound. So it was that kind of early rave scene that was very much cutting up of samples, using a lot of breakbeats from hip hop, and just generally kind of being very fast, quick changes, huge sub bass lines.
Right. Sorry about that.
Talking sub bass lines.
Yeah, sorry, that might have taken you out. Okay, as you can hear, the horn is working, and that one was for David Serchek. Thank you for your 1999. That's so much appreciated. Like I say, yeah, $7,500 since October. Stunning. So what kind of bands was that then? Can you name any that I might have heard of?
I mean, in the my first sort of exposure was some of that stuff breaking through in the pop sort of genre of rave. So sort of early sort of rip-off tracks that they could get away with back then.
Okay.
And then I think in about 92, I was into the Prodigy. I'd heard, you know, I'd heard some Charlie and some of those early ones, and they came to Plymouth on the Prodigy.
Sorry, just a second.
Experience.
Tony Duncan is saying mic up a little bit, please. I'm guessing it's your mic. I don't know if you've got a little bit more gain.
I can come in.
I'm hoping that's.
How are we doing? I can come in a bit closer.
Yeah,
now.
God, that's going to be great. Thank you. Yeah, so you were into the Prodigy.
Yeah, so 92, they came to Plymouth on the Prodigy tour, which was their first album, and it was my first exposure to kind of a rave. I was still pretty young. I was probably about 16, and yeah, went down to that, and it was just like that whole experience. You know, a room full of lasers, lights. Sort of this group on the stage. There was DJ warm-ups as well, and it was just incredible, incredible. And I think, you know, I then ventured into going to larger raves and just fell in love with the scene. And I became obsessed with DJing. That's where it really started, and just buying the records and learning how to DJ. And then slowly but surely the rave scene started to change, and it started to become very much more of a thumping 4/4 techno-y beat. And I was missing that sort of breakbeat of the genre, and sort of those quick piano stabs followed by some sort of dub sample, followed by a sub bass line, followed by something else completely different. And this was all starting to get a bit more smoother in it. So yeah, so I was a little bit lost in the new sort of wave, and jungle wasn't quite my thing, even though I liked it. It was a bit too dark for me, and the raves were a bit scary.
Okay.
So yeah,
actually, there was a lot of love in the original, obviously, on the Prodigy sort of stuff. The whole crowd was in love with each other, so clearly it's a very nice environment to be in.
That was a really great environment to be around, and yeah, I think it just sort of following on from that, as I sort of started to tire of or not really follow the scene of DJing so much, I kind of fell into sort of thinking, well, maybe I can have a go at making this myself.
Wow.
So yeah, that's when I started
to
sort of explore what technology there was out there, to how were these guys doing what they were doing, and how could I do it. So,
and that's when the Atari, you mentioned when we chatted very briefly, you kicked it off with the old Atari ST, which is the same as me.
The Atari was pretty early on in the exploration. I think I picked up a few other bits of gear first. I had like a Korg M1 that I bought second hand, and the sequencer on it was impossible. The machine itself made great sounds, and I really enjoyed making sounds, but I couldn't program it to do anything. So I explored other ways of how people were programming, and heard about Atari ST and its various different ways of programming, and I got myself an Atari, actually, just a cheap second-hand one, and again, being a kid at this point and being pretty poor, this was pocket money kind of stuff. Just I got a copy of Cubase, and still using Cubase to this day.
The rest is history. Wow.
Still using MIDI in Cubase. It hasn't changed much.
Well, that's exactly the same as me back then, to be honest. I think it was Cubase. I had to get all the others as well, because I was doing a lot of sessions, so people would send me discs instead of stems back in those days, so I had to learn C-Lab Notator and Creator and all that kind of stuff.
Well, it was the new frontier, wasn't it? At that point in time, you know, there was a few doors on the market, if you could call them doors at that point, just MIDI sequencers, you know, and there was trackers, and there was kind of the linear kind of Cubase style, which seemed to fit how I understood music.
Completely.
And then there was some notation stuff as well.
That's right. Like, and I think Cubase 3 was the first one to come out with the left to right kind of arrangement, which you see in Logic and the arranger views and everything. But we don't need to get too much into that. It's just funny to think of those old days.
A few of us out there that know what we're talking about.
It's pretty solid. Much better timing wise, though.
Oh my goodness, wasn't it just?
Exactly. And anyway, so if you remember the old Ataris, I gave mine to someone. I've always thought, I should really put out, there's a hard drive in the garage with a lot of stuff that I should really go back
I guess
over.
for those that don't know the Atari, what the Atari system had was it had MIDI built into it, and it was actually built into the computer itself. So because it was built into the computer, it always had solid timing. So what you could do with the MIDI of the Atari was basically you could daisy chain a lot of gear, and I think I managed to get up to like 16 pieces of gear just running quite happily, just chaining off of each other and not having any slippage.
Did you get any of the other plug-in bits and pieces? Because
I did have a few of the bits, like a horrible like sample card thing that was just horrendous. And yeah, there were some other bits and pieces, but no, it was really just Cubase and its own MIDI in and out that was the useful bit for me, really. And then all the other gear did the sounds. So yeah, because all the sequences, I think, I mean, I don't know if anyone agrees with me on this, but certainly in a lot of that old gear from around that time, the sequences were awful to try and figure out and use, and everyone's system was slightly different, and they're all quite complicated. So yeah, it seemed to be Cubase, and just seeing your MIDI notation sort of scrolling across the screen in front of you was just a far easier way of reading it than some of these very... Again, you didn't have very complex screens on any of the machinery.
No, exactly.
I mean, so it couldn't give you that much feedback.
That's right.
So
I mean, quite reasonably high resolution for back in the day. No, there were fun times. I think you're exactly right. The Atari had a MIDI in and a MIDI out port in the sides built into it, in this nice case. So it was Ataris and Amigas.
I've still got it. It's literally just over there.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and it works. I fired it up the other day. Cubase ran, and it was like just hearing the disc going as it fired up. And I was like, wow, it's going to go. It's going to go. And it runs.
It makes me flinch, the idea of the number of backups I used to take on that stuff. Anyway, okay, so you started making the tunes, continuing to DJ?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I was still really obsessed with just music in general and just the dance scene. I think one of the things coming out of the rave scene and sort of the DJ genre was just this whole idea of B-sides, and there was just some very obscure tracks that would end up on B-sides, and they weren't like the dance track that the A-side was. So it would be ambient, or it would be like just some really weird collage kind of music, or just very experimental. And I think people had a freedom that sometimes it was just like, I haven't got a B-side, I'll just do something.
Just do something,
throw it out there. Or it was just some really strange, different kind of remix of a certain track. And it was those tracks that I started to try and explore how to DJ and just sort of trying to create montage. Because a lot of the traditional DJing was beat matching and trying to keep a flow and sort of tell that sort of ebb and flow story and kind of have your big drop for your last track. And yeah, I kind of got fascinated by these strange sort of B-sides and just what this other stuff was. And I started to sort of play around with that in DJing. And then it's kind of what attracted me then to sort of explore music in my own space. Because it was like, okay, so I don't have to necessarily stick to this sort of genre and this BPM.
Nice.
Actually, there's plenty more out there. And of course, you scratch the surface. And, we're predating internet here as well.
Yeah,
so information was hard to gather, and it was hard to find out what people were using, and you'd buy the magazines that were around of the day, and there'd always be a page dedicated to somebody's studio, and it would just be like, one day I'll have one of those.
Yeah, exactly. But nothing's changed except that
nothing's changed. We just do it on YouTube now.
You get the information a little bit quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But
it still surprises me. Like the first time I saw demos of stuff on YouTube, that people would use YouTube as a means for judging stuff so well. And then back in the day, YouTube sounded terrible. So it was like, how can you judge? It's like, oh, that sounds great, Yeah. And now it's just second nature. The idea of spending thousands of pounds on something, you just don't go to a shop to do it. It's brilliant. I know we sound a little bit old at the moment, but it really is. We are old. I am anyway.
We are old.
Oh well. So just to bring it forward a little bit, obviously there's a bunch of jammy kind of kit behind you going on. So
there is.
Is it more the live stuff you're putting together now, or are you putting out tracks as well via Beatport?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely a little bit of everything. The hardware jams side of things that I got involved in sort of didn't give me a nudge to remember that I use all this hardware and I've got all this hardware, and some of it's been with me since I was 16 years old, and some of it is brand new in the last month, but at the same time I'm still more than happy to be in the box as well, just There's a few bits of software that I've grown up with, and I think Reactor was one of those that was just, I was introduced to that very early on, and just got very excited by the idea of Reactor and just this open space that you could kind of create anything, and it could be anything as well, so you could really sort of explore sequencing.
Reactor is a thing you can use to build your own synth. You can say, I have an oscillator here, and I'll... No, I mean, a lot of people will know it, but just in case people that don't follow that stuff in the chat, it's really interesting because the new 3D engines and stuff that are coming out that people are using to make games, not so much Unity, but what's it called?
Unreal Engine looks very much like
effectively Reactor built into it. But obviously the extra bit in there is you can say not only make this noise, but trigger it on this circumstance in this three-dimensional space. And that's where it gets really clever, because obviously you could use it for making a shot ping off of a cavern wall or something, or you could spin the sound around, so you get this extra placement going on, which could then, I guess, be rolled into the new Dolby Atmos type of approach. And it's really neat. It's really neat. And they've I go on about this a little bit too much, maybe on Sonic State and stuff occasionally, but yeah, the Unreal Engine is leagues ahead of a lot of the plugins and stuff that's available for DAWs now. And they've just, I mean, they've got a lot of money through Fortnite, but they've obviously spent it really well, because you could use it like a DAW, almost in just an insane way.
It's deep. It's very deep. But,
it is indeed.
Having explored a bit of it myself.
So have you put your track on and everyone's rushed to the dance floor and put your track on and everyone's left? Have you had that experience? Or
yeah. Who hasn't?
With one of your tracks, though. With one of your tracks.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
There was a show I did in London where I played for them before, and they put me in the side room, which was essentially the dance room, and it had this amazing set, and everyone was just pumped, and it was fantastic. So they invited me back, but somewhere along the lines, they hadn't told me I was playing the main room, which was more kind of an arts kind of highbrow chin scratching side of things. So I'd gone in there ready with its banging set, ready to go, and it was like, what? I'm not in the side room. I'm up here. Oh, and honestly, it absolutely bombed, because everyone was like, what?
It's this raucous noise.
Yeah. Everyone was everyone that should have been singing was in the other room having a whale of a time. So it's absolutely, and you know it, don't you? Your heart sinks, doesn't it?
Yes. I've DJ'd a few times, and that's happened. I mean, like literally a handful, probably one handful. It's never something, and because when I started playing it, like as a session guy for some of the DJs doing remixes, I realised how good they were. You know, they're just. And I think that takes a lot of putting records on and getting it wrong, and putting records on and getting it right. But their ability, you know... Well,
and it's the environment you're working in. I mean, some of the clubs were just not set up very well for the DJ.
Yes.
So you barely hear what you're doing. So you've just got to kind of go with your gut reaction of like, I think this is beat matched. Oh, I'm okay, just spin it. Just go. You know, and you're kind of just winging it. But,
also, I think a lot of people get hooked up on the technical aspects and forget that actually they're selecting records sometimes. And do you know what I mean? And the same is true for synths. You know, you buy a lot of synths and then forget sometimes about maybe perhaps the music that you're making a little bit, you think that
you're allowed to program them. You don't have to use the presets.
This is true. Although I kind of use a lot of presets. If you've got like something like Omnisphere, I'll tweak them, but I'm not sure. I very rarely sit down from scratch like Jamie beforehand, you know, or Mark or whatever. No, it's crazy stuff. So so what are your lovely synths that maybe you've had forever, or you know, your list of desert island kind of things?
Well, that Korg M1 that I was talking about, that was by far the most powerful thing I'd come across at that point. So there's a time, certainly in England, where pre-internet, where you had music magazines coming out once a month that would have gear lists and things for sale, and there was a lot of advertising. And you for young people like myself at the time that didn't have an awful lot of money, you had these yellow newspapers that were called free ads, and people used to just put stuff in it. They only have a tiny paragraph, no pictures, tiny paragraph to say this is a Roland something, 150 quid, it's in Cornwall. And you know, I lived in Devon, which is, for those that don't know, the far southwest of England, so it's kind of in the corner, so it's a long way from London, a long way from the sort of big big hub cities, so
Yeah.
there wasn't a lot of gear available. So you kind of just went on
Yeah.
a hunch and, you know, quietly sort of give Dad a nudge and just say, Dad, I've seen this one. We've got to go quick or it'll be gone. You know, and you just had to phone a number that was a landline. And somebody would answer and say, "Yeah, I've still got it."
Loot. That's right. Loot revolutionised the market,
Yeah.
didn't they? For a while,
So,
they just used to sell so much.
So yeah, I did pick up all sorts of random stuff, but the M1 I picked it up in Plymouth, and it didn't work properly. It sort of had a power surge problem, but it was just the first really powerful synth that made. I mean, I hadn't realised at the time that M1 piano was such a classic in dance club tunes.
Yes.
And the minute I went to preset number 2, which I think was the piano, it was like, oh, hang on a minute, I know this from all over the place. Okay, this is this one. And the penny started to drop, and there was all sorts of bits of gear. You know, I kind of didn't understand the analog at that point, and I knew that digital was like you could save a preset and you could.
Yes.
And I didn't understand this whole idea of like analog not saving and what it runs on a pulse. What's a pulse? And it was just I just didn't get that stuff. So I was just very much kind of like, I want that digital sort of samplers and bits and pieces, and I picked them up one by one, and you know, I learned as I went really, and found my way through it.
It's quite funny that you still need to know that stuff. Hey, sweetheart. You know, you still need pulses, and so the modular is almost backwards. And the idea of having a 16-step sequencer is actually really cool on something. It's like,
yes,
what? 32 steps? Gosh, that's worth twice
and
as
also,
much.
I needed it to plug into the Atari, so I needed MIDI.
Oh yes, of course, of course. Right, Loullamae, is Mrs Wiggly coming up?
Yeah.
Is she there, or has she disappeared? Oh, she might be going to get. Oh, hold on, let's make sure we can hear you.
Why is there wood here?
There is wood on my desk because I'll show you in a second. It's really cool. Let me just make sure that you can be heard. Sorry about this. Give us a second.
Do I need to press the button?
You probably will need to press the button. Oh no, it is pressed already. Can you hear Loullamae? Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just me then. Hang on a
There's
second.
no business like show business. There's no business. I know. I'll keep it going. Don't worry. You just.
Yeah.
hang in there.
Not Loullamae, that's weird. I shouldn't be able to. No, exactly. Oh dear. We had a real last-minute disaster here. So just.
It's all right. My sound card decided to just not work right before the show, and I was like,
Hello,
I'm
Mrs.
scrambling.
Wiggly. Okay, so. Oh, push that button again, please, darling. That's better.
There.
Duh. Okay, so that's you now. All we need to do now.
Why is there wood on your desk?
Right, there is wood on my desk because I went to B&Q and I bought some flat panel bits that you would normally put on the floor, like a wooden flooring thing.
Yeah, but why is it
And I
on your
put them
desk?
on my desk. Okay, I'm getting there. I put them on my desk so that I could film things on it. And I've just realised your camera's up there as well.
Super exciting, guys. So all at home there, yeah.
Yeah. So that, you know when they film modular things and it's like on a really old school wooden table.
No.
No, hang on. Look at my stomach just for a moment. It's a nice background for filming, you see.
Oh.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you your camera. And in the meantime, we're going to say hello to the wonderful Mrs. Wiggly. How are you doing, Mrs. Wiggly? Oh dear. Of course you're not working either. Try that.
Of course not. Hello. No.
Hang on. Try that.
Hello. No.
Oh,
Echo.
echo.
Some sort of echo.
Hang on. I'm so sorry, President. Whoa! Try that.
Hello.
Yes. I probably blew everyone's ears off.
Just a little bit.
I don't know. Am I coming through all right?
Can you hear yourself on your headphones?
That's all right. I've managed to get through this far in my music
Oh, that's
career
better.
without blowing my
Now
ears.
I can hear.
Yeah?
Yeah. Think so. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
better.
Oh,
Hello.
man.
Hi,
You're going to have to entertain the
Hey,
troops
you're
for a
right.
second.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Okay, I got a quiz. I'll do a little
Hello,
quiz.
Yeah,
everyone.
good one. Good one.
Which
Well,
is people at home? Which is bigger?
Oh, Loullamae, can you see that?
The
Which is-
cat or the dinosaur?
The dinosaur.
Dinosaur is bigger than a cat, you think?
Yeah.
Okay, for everyone at home, here's the answer. And this is where we need the Swanee whistle. Whoop.
Oh!
I was right.
You were right, well done.
Oh, you were right. Well done. You're going to be good at carrot on a stick. Hang on a second. Oh, I'm nearly there. I'm nearly there, everybody. Can you still hear yourself, Loullamae?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. All right, so I honestly, I know I've said this before, but I was so prepared for today, and then suddenly it was like 2 minutes to go, and I've done a bunch of stuff. Right, going to plug Mrs. Wiggly. I'm going to just put you on the spot just for a second. How
Please
are you?
don't.
No? Okay. Have you had a nice day?
Yes, thank you.
Anything exciting going on in Mrs. Wiggly's life, apart from Mr. Wiggly?
No, just enjoying the summer holidays, to be honest. Now that we've got our daughter back.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I think we mentioned that she was away last week, didn't we? So that's not part of
No,
today's
it's not
quiz,
part
is
of
it?
the quiz.
No, yeah, she was away for a whole week, which was the first time ever. So, yeah, so that was a bit strange. Glad to have her back.
All right, so, okay. Hold on a second. I don't want... Oh, look at that.
As if
But
one
me.
wasn't
There's
enough.
Lily.
That's
You've
cool.
got, there's two of
One
you.
wasn't enough.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
For those of you listening on not seeing the views, I've managed to put two of myself on screen. All right, we're going to try again and share a wonderful Loullamae's camera. Here it comes. Wonder if it's going to work. Is she there? Oh, look at that. He's done it. He's only gone and done it. Right. The wonderful Loullamae's in the house.
Yay.
Big love. Big love for Loullamae. And, right. Whew. And breathe.
Deep
Okay.
breath, deep breath.
Okay, so we have some sheets here that Mrs. Wiggly kindly pulled off the printer.
Because you were very, very well prepared.
I was so prepared. I was, yeah. I've even got we got a new section for later. We've got Loullamae's Quickfire round. I'll do the jingle for it because it's I'm quite proud of it. Except I can't find it. It's just- it must be up here. This will be Loullamae's Quickfire. So you got that to look forward to. In the meantime, right, we're on like Donkey Kong again. So thank you to everyone in the chat that's still here. We don't seem to have lost that many people. A fantastic donation from, I believe, Epimew. I told you, that is how loud Mrs. Wiggly's microphone is. Mm-hmm. So the people that heard the first horn blowing, that was bearable. This one's literally just took everything above kind of 8K off the top of my hearing, to be honest. Epimew, thank you so much for the £10 super sticker. You are very welcome to donate, everybody. Now the horn is working. Might be worth waiting towards the latter end of the queue, but if you do have $5 or £5 to spare, it all goes to Great Ormond Street. Whilst we are at this moment, I will just run the thank you video that we've got, because there has been so much kind of going on, and I haven't run it for the last couple of weeks, and so many people have kind of donated to the cause. It's been absolutely wonderful. So let me just try and run this one. This is everybody who's donated since October, I believe. If I've missed anyone, please do get in touch. But I went through every single video, and like I say, we've just got $7,500 going on, which is really amazing. So thank you.
Inside I give thanks and the highest praise. Ground myself to Mama Earth, connect out the space. Within the hallways of the heart, the mind in the state of being that I am as I vibrate. Adorate, oscillate like horse crystal, Mama man. Earth brother, honoring, solid listen. I'ma say our heart is the brightest of sun, so we'll let it shine away. Overlap and envelop each other in love and light. Yeah. Simultaneously synchronized this energy, symbiotic and sacred geometry. Contemplate the symmetry of this imagery as we integrate the knowledge. This wisdom, see what the symbols mean and bodies for the temple beat. Where the life force energy resides in the chemistry. Bioelectric being the time indefinitely. Receive and perceive to the physical machinery. Conceived by the source, recognize that it blessed be. Rolling and I can't breathe. Conscious living never hurt me. One love, energy and sexy. One line to the champion sound. Baseman move to the energy. Sunlight burning upon me. One love, set your heart free. One line to the champion sound. Winding time to the champion sound. Winding connect so with the herb pipe. Link up the harmonize, left the termite. But beyond obsolete blessings, a birthright. To live a life which a lot more in us all worldwide. Cosmic love energy, I go herbicide free, organically, me say worldwide.
All right, there you go. Thank you so much to everybody in that list there. It was just amazing. And like I say, £6,234 raised for Great Ormond Street, which is just brilliant. And I won't mention it again. Thank you so much. So, yeah, quiz. You can have as many goes as you like in the chat. And that's going out to We Talk the Skeleton Gas. Thank you for coming on board. Make sure you're viewing all chat rather than just top chat, because you won't see everything. Yes, my darling?
Here's my top that I got sent here.
It is, but you haven't got it on. We'll have to wear it next time. In fact, I think you
If
took
it-
it downstairs, didn't you? Have you got Loullamae's Great Ormond Street T-shirt?
Nope.
Oh.
Not up here. No.
But you know where it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Mummy knows where it is.
Where is it?
It's, why is it always me that has to go down and get everything?
We'll wear it next week. Wagyu! Thank you so much. Saved by the Wagyu.
Yes, thanks, Wagyu.
10 Swiss francs.
You're
Thank you.
definitely watching.
You are cool. Sorry, I get this wrong every single week. Live chat, not top chat or anything else. You need to be watching live chat. There is another option that shows you kind of the best of the chat, which is useless if you're doing a quiz. There are no prizes, and basically Richard has the advantage because the chat can be slightly delayed. Also, you may think you typed it before someone, but it may arrive in a slightly different order whilst we're up here. So apologies, there's a bit of noise in the background. I've got a fan going because it got quite hot in here. But
We
I
need
think it
a
should be all right.
weekly Hazel update.
We need a weekly Hazel update.
It's asked.
Oh, who said that? Oh,
Paula.
Paul Artola. Do you have a weekly Hazel update, please, Loullamae? Shall I do a quick jingle?
You have a jingle for
No,
that?
I'll just weekly Hazel updates with Loullamae.
This is bigger.
That's true, actually. Is she eating more food?
Maybe.
She's bigger. There you go, Paul Artola.
She can, if she stands on her back feet, she can reach to my
If she stands on her back
knees. Her back
feet.
feet, she can reach to just above my knees.
Wow. Well, that's a good measurement to have. We can do an update on that every week. Crikey. Although you're growing taller as well.
So that long,
So that is about that long?
longer.
Well, that's no use, is it? So that long.
That's long.
It's about that long. So it depends on the size of your screen, really, but I'd say at least 4 inches. Alan Art Perlman Foundation, Dina Perlman, thank you so much for the $10. That's so kind of you. And thank you so much for watching. I'm a massive fan of yours. That's very, very kind of you. All going to a good cause, of course. Andrew Brooks, please release the song, Want. Which song?
Huh?
What, the Loullamae's update? Oh, no, it can't be that one. I don't know. Well, who knows? I did write a little jingle, though, which will be apparent from the first question of the quiz. So if we are all ready... Are you ready, Mrs. Wiggly? You're looking bemused,
No,
Mrs.
I'm
Wiggly.
just waiting for you to kick off.
Just get on with it. Just get on with it.
Oh, my God. Are you ready, Mrs. Wiggly?
Yeah.
Are you ready, Loullamae?
Yeah.
Are you ready, Richard Doak?
Born ready.
Amazing timing from the incredible Kent Spong. Kent Spong, can you tell me what's wrong? I will get my horn repaired. Thank you. You are remain an absolute legend. An absolute legend. Thank you so much for your continued huge donations to the charity. You're a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful man. Thank you. Huge love for Kent Spong, please, in the chat, and everyone actually that's donated so far. And big up yourselves for being there. Thank you. I've got a video version of Kent Spong. Can you tell me what's wrong? We have Chrissy.
Kent Spong, can you tell me what's wrong?
Chrissy Rock. I can't do that accent properly. She's from Benidorm, well-known actress from Benidorm. Wishing cost us £30, and she said she'd wish Kent, get well soon. Can you tell me what's wrong? Kind of message, which is money. Well, I spent that as well, not the chat funds. I wouldn't remove anything, but it's been well used. It's currently running at about £2 a click, so it's very, very worthwhile. Spongeship Trooper. It sounds like the Kenny Everett show. My word, I hope so. Oh, that was amazing. He was the king of the jingles, that man. But all he had was like a reel-to-reel.
Have you found out the pictures for Kent?
No, Kent Spong, we owe you 4 pictures. Also, actually, we will get to the quiz, I promise. I'm sorry, Mrs. Wiggly. There is, Loullamae has been doing portraits for Facebook. I've got a few still here. If you would like to compare mine, these are like your Facebook profile pictures. So me, for instance. Oliver Gold looks like that, which I think is pretty remarkable. He did have just got back from the dentist face on that one. Paul Morrison, all 3 together. So we've also got them for Brian Oliver. I mean, loads of people. So if you do fancy ones,
I did one for
Nick Batt as well. Yeah. The only thing is I've only got the original picture of Nick. I can't show it.
I have them here.
Have you? Okay, we'll show them in a second after the quiz. Otherwise, Mrs. Wiggly is going to pass out and just not speak to us ever again. But yeah, if you fancy your own one. And the point of that conversation was the lovely Kent Spong has already paid for 4 individual pictures, but he's not told us what he wants them of. So Kent, please tell us what you want, and Loullamae will get drawing. Nailed it dead on. Yeah, absolutely. Also, Jennifer S had one. I think I showed that one, didn't
Jen's
I?
Was brilliant.
Jen's was amazing. I don't think it was based on this picture, but you'll have to show us Jen's one from your iPad later. Okay. Are you ready, Mrs. Wiggly? Are you ready now?
Yeah.
We've been waiting for ages.
Get on with it.
I won't ask everyone else. Okay, first question coming up. Make sure the chat's all sorted in the right order. Everyone ready? Everybody happy? Here we go.
What important fact did or learn about camp? Instead
What?
of I, it says oh.
Do you know what yeah, it was your question, I promise.
What important fact did I learn a song about in camp?
Right, so Loullamae was at guide camp all last week. And what I meant to have typed there, because it is Loullamae's question, although I typed them out so she can remember them. What important fact did Loullamae learn a song about at camp? And Jeanne Setter, fabulous for your donation. It went off just while the jingle was working, so I will pick it up in 1 second. I'll flag it and we'll give you a proper horn in a moment. Thank you very, very much indeed for that. So, what important thing? Any ideas, Paul? Richard, sorry. It's a hard one, this, to be honest.
Ginganguli something.
It's along those lines.
No, it's not.
Well,
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yeah, well said, Loullamae. Nothing to do with that.
If you're happy and you know it, wiggle your hands. I like that, Lady Aptitude. You'd win in my book. It is a fact, I guess. It's not the sort of thing you'd know a song about. Should we put a timer on it and give them a clue?
Yeah, they might need a clue. That's good.
I don't actually know how long this runs for. Oh, it's a minute. Oh, we can't wait a minute. Sorry, this is just background. Oh. Clue time.
Something about the sky.
Yes. Something about the sky. And it's kind of sort of fruit oriented. It's the most bonkers thing actually to sing a song about. See if you come up with the fruit. Name a fruit, Richard.
Oh, Wagyu.
It's Wagyu? The movie.
Wagyu's
We'll give you that.
Yeah.
We'll give you that, Wagyu. That is just insanely weird. I don't know how he does it. I really don't know how he does it. What's the answer, Loullamae?
No bananas in the sky.
There's no bananas in the sky, which is pretty simple when you know the right answer. And I've made a little tune, so you know that it's real and you know how it goes. So
You made a tune?
I did. It's super quick though. No auto tune or anything. Where are we? So let me just try and find it. It's up here. Where do I put it? Where have I put it? Oh, it's on here. All right, stand by. No bananas in the sky, in the sky. No bananas in the sky, in the sky. There's a sun and a moon and a great big apple pie. No bananas in the sky, in the sky. There you go. Round of applause for Wiggly. Incidentally, whilst I think about it and my jingle making abilities, I've decided to make myself into an NFT. So if you fancy buying me as an NFT, it's £250,000. I'll donate at least 10,000 of that to Great Ormond Street, and you'll get something. It won't look exactly like this, but I'll pull a pose. In fact, I'll pull any pose you want for that kind of money. It'll be like a...
Your face looks strange.
Yeah, actually, maybe that would make a better NFT. And I will, I'll save it as a JPEG. I'll NFT it up, and you're welcome. So if anyone's interested, hit me up after the show. There you go. No bananas in the sky. Made me think of my NFT. Now I can't find the button to switch it off. Hey, back in the real world. Right. Question number.
I think I preferred the NFT world to the music.
Ho, ho, ho. Ho, 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 ho. Epimew's trying to concentrate. I'm putting him off. So, okay. All right. So, Wagyu has got that one again. Again, for those of people who don't know, Wagyu gets absolutely everything to the point that we actually think he lives just next door or something.
I think he lives in the house.
It's really scary.
He lives in this house somewhere.
It's terrible. All right, time for the next.
What 5 ingredients are in Mummy's pond water healthy lunch drink?
What 5 ingredients are in Mummy's pond water healthy
I drink
lunch?
it too.
It's quite nice. I got a picture of it somewhere.
Yeah.
I'll look it
It's
up.
a bit
the
too
one that
healthy
doesn't
for you.
do-
You know
It
you
look-
don't do healthy stuff.
It looks like pond water. And
It
there's-
doesn't taste like pond water.
Okay, I don't know if this is going to work. Let me zoom in on me. This is a picture of Mrs. Wiggly's pond water drink.
It's called a green juice.
Green juice. Mrs. Wiggly's green juice. Any ideas?
Right,
Maybe give a
there's
point away for each of
5
them.
ingredients. 5 ingredients in that juice.
How about just going one at a time? I'll give you a point.
Well, there's been a few that have been mentioned then.
Oh, okay.
Let's go back.
It's that it
Mrs.
said
Wiggly's
bananas.
in charge of this. Pond water, pondweed,
Right.
dead goldfish, frog spawn and algae.
Yeah, I was going to add a minnow.
Well, electronic sounds, audio's got 1 in there.
Kale gets so.
Elbows.
Kale is one of them.
Kale, Steve Elbows, Curly Kale as well as a few. I
Yeah.
think, to be honest, Dean from
Oh,
Electronic Sounds got in there
You've got to
first.
give extra points for the person that's confined them all as their little avatar as well.
Oh yes, that's true. That is true. Lawn says homegrown, not quite. I think Bob Van's got one.
Sinriser's got one as well.
Sinriser's got lemon and mint there.
Yeah, lemon.
Not mint.
Not mint, but lemon. Any thoughts there, Richard?
It's green. It's got to be bogies.
Oh, Grace Griffin's got one in there.
Grace Griffin.
Yeah, she's got cucumber.
Kale, carrots, beetroot, cucumber, and chocolate. Chocolate. Almost there, Grace. You just
John Bryan's got one in there.
John Bryan's water. Is that all 5 in
No,
various forms yet?
There's 3 in there.
So you got
3 in there.
Okay, there's 3 in there.
So John's in the lead so far. John Bryan.
You didn't count water though, did you?
No, there's no water in there.
Isn't it?
Nope.
Wow. Oh well, we told you now. There's celery, kale, cucumber. You can get the last 2. Dum 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 dum.
Sasquatch.
And lemon. We've got lemon.
He's got one. Sasquatch has got one.
Sass has got one.
Just the last one.
Yeah. I'm not going to say it. Sasquatch has got the one. So it's whether people can name all 5.
Richard's like...
Azio head.
Is that Azio head?
Azio
Apples.
head there.
He's got the last one.
So we've named all of them now, so let's see if they can...
What? My word.
Oh.
Okay, Mrs Wiggly. Can you name all 5 of them?
Who, me?
No. But...
Oh, hang on. No, nobody can name all 5 of them. They've all been mentioned now.
What about that one?
Yeah.
Oh, who's that?
Sassy.
Yes.
Sasquatch.
No. Tanuki D. Tanuki D's got it.
Tanuki D. Tanuki
Yeah.
D. Tanuki D.
Kale, lemon, apple, and cucumber. Yeah.
All right.
Tanuki D. Celery, kale, lemon, apple, cucumber. Well done, sir. I feel like we should send you a prize if we had one for that. Well done. Brilliant, brilliant work. That's amazing.
Done.
Yeah, you can't. No, I need that pen. That's Mummy's pen, actually. I don't think she even has a pen to work with at the moment. I was so disorganised.
I went to get my own.
Well done. Well done. Now, whilst we can, Jansetta, thank you so much. I have a manual button here. Thank you for your €10 donation to Great Ormond Street. It's fabulously wonderful of you to do so, and very, very much appreciated. Thank you very much indeed. Right, question number 3. You ready, my darling?
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Here we go.
How many badges did I earn at camp?
How many badges did Loullamae earn at Guide Camp this week? Got to be able to go for this. Take advantage of the...
I'm saying 5.
Nope. You can have another go if you want.
Oh, Sasquatch has got it.
Sasquatch has got another one.
Sasquatch, yeah, well, there we go. I haven't got time because Sasquatch has already got it.
Where has he got it? I can't see.
Yeah, it's there.
He's there. Okay, I'm scrolling.
It's below Adamski.
Hang on. My word, there's a lot of people without any delay on running on this as well. Well done, Sass. Sass, obviously the guy that appeared, I don't know what he looks like, but appeared virtually in my dream to ask if I wanted to join an elite hacking squad. Very strange dream. And we all went to this elite hacking squad central headquarters, and I met with a few other people I knew who obviously were in this elite hacking squad. And I lost the gig because we all went out for a sandwich, and I told the lady that was making the sandwich behind the bar that I was a member of an elite hacking squad, so they sacked me. Seriously, that's a weird and wonderful dream. So yeah, but who knows? Who knows why? And it was one of those dreams that was complete, you know. And then the next morning I woke up and thought, that's really weird. So real. I thought, I messed that one up, didn't I? How could I be so stupid? Should we show the baby cheese video? This is a video of how to keep your baby.
Hang on a second. Adamski's saying Wagyu got it first. Is that a joke? Let me have
you scroll back. I will show a video of how to keep your...
We haven't heard which badges they were. What the
oh no,
badges?
let me show you the baby being quiet by throwing cheese at it video
Piece
first.
of cheese at your baby to stop crying.
I wish we'd known that when you were younger, anyway.
I would just eat the cheese.
You probably would just eat the cheese as well. The answer was 2.
No, I went back. No, definitely Sasquatch got it.
Sasquatch. That means you got 2 points, so well done. Big love. No worries, Adamski. I'm letting you off on behalf of Mrs. Wiggly. I'm sure she would say the same thing. Even though she's saying, get on with it, get on with it. Okay, so what are the scores on the doors, please, wonderful Mrs. Wiggly?
Did you say Sasquatch
Just
had one before?
Yeah, I thought he'd got one, right, hadn't he?
Because I hadn't got him down.
Oh, okay.
I've only got him down as 1.
All right.
So Wagyu 1, Tanuki D 1, and Sasquatch 1.
We'll double check. I'm sure we'll hear about it in the chat if we've got it wrong. You ready with the next question, Loullamae?
There were 14 more questions.
How much? 14?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but that's quickfire. That doesn't count. So no. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. We're nearly done, I promise.
did I make out of cardboard to win the Thursday race?
What did Loullamae make out of cardboard to win the Thursday race at camp? Yes, you will be dead by then. I sing the body. Don't worry, we don't have 14 questions, I promise. A hat, a car, an egg carrier, a puppy, a raft, a sledge, a chicken. There's loads of guesses. Anything on your side, Richard?
A bungalow.
No, it's a race.
No.
It's a clue in the race. The speed. It's the fastest thing you could think of.
Oh, Lady Aptitude is close.
What did she say?
A spaceship.
Said,
Would that count?
No.
It's close.
It's close. It's like a spaceship.
You need the exact answer. A.
Oh, yeah, somebody's got it.
Grace.
Jan.
Grace Griffin.
No,
Yeah.
Jan Setter. No, is it Jan Setter? No, somebody got it. I'm sorry.
Grace Griffin. Yoo-hoo!
Was it Grace? I think there was somebody before.
Was there someone
that.
before Grace?
think
Have
there
I
was.
gone off prematurely? Hang on, let's check. Bum, 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 bum. Put us out of our misery. Someone else will.
Oh, maybe not, maybe
Maybe
not.
not. All right, Grace Griffin gets it.
Grace got it, yeah.
Fantastic. Good work
Well
to
done,
you.
Grace.
Well done, Grace. All right, moving swiftly on. Let's get another question in while we can.
How many days did I wear the same pair of socks for?
How many days did Loullamae wear the same pair of socks? This is going to be quick. Get your answer in.
Oh, Wagyu.
5.
Wagyu.
Did Wagyu get it? 4.
Yeah, Wagyu.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to
Hang
pass
on.
so quickly. Wagyu.
Oh, maybe, let's see.
No, Wagyu had 4, I'm sure.
Oh, Sasquatch had it before him.
Sasquatch.
Sasquatch. Yeah.
You were 1 out there.
Yeah.
We've got to help Richard here. I mean, he was 1 out. He had 5 in there. But I mean, that puts Sass in the lead. If we thought he was in the lead before.
Yeah, Sasquatch is in the lead now.
Man. Okay, how are we doing on questions? I haven't been following. There can't be that many left, right?
We've got 1, 2.
Oh, the socks. I think I've got another
us.
sock picture. Picture?
Picture of my sock.
Somewhere there's a picture of your sock and it's hideous.
4 days. This is
There it is.
something boys do, not girls. 4 days.
I mean, it doesn't do it justice, to be fair, that picture, because it looks like a marginally scuzzy sock. Honestly, I had that sock in my face, didn't I? Which was one of the most horrible experiences of my life.
But then Hazel took it.
And then Hazel stole it and ran off with it, thank
Yeah,
goodness.
and I finally put it in the bin.
In the bin. Yeah, it was gone, sadly.
In the bin.
In the bin. So 4, that was a quick one. All right, we've got a couple more questions to go. Should we do let's do those. Let's do a couple more questions whilst we have everyone's attention still. Thank you for sticking with it in the chat. No, the Richard hasn't got one yet. You need to get this one, really. Normally
This pressure's on now, isn't it?
it is, yeah. We get one on the board by now. Let's go.
What did I do with Hazel in the afternoon?
What did you do with the Hazel in the afternoon? Any ideas?
Can I say you chased Hazel
Yes.
after the sock?
No, it does involve running around with Hazel.
Not really that much.
Not really. Okay.
Oh,
Well, kind of.
my clues are really working today, aren't they?
You're on
Flying
your A. You're on your
kites.
A game today.
It's kind of running, but
It is running, I'd say that. We can ask the chat afterwards. There's lots of swimming, paddling. Dare I say it does involve water. That'll give it to you. Not swimming, not paddling. What else could you do with dogs in the garden? Not washing. Not brushing.
play chess.
Playing chess. She's not quite that clever.
She's
Being
nearly
only
there.
12 weeks old.
Nearly there.
Oh, it's really close. I don't know whether to... Should we call it?
Oh, Wagyu Khan.
Hey, Lady Aptitude!
Oh, did you get it? Yes.
Sprinkler.
played in the sprinkler.
Very, very well done. Couldn't have been won by a nicer person. Lady Aptitude, is she 2 points on the board now?
I've got one.
Yeah, just one. Oh dear. So I think we've got one main question to go. What are the scores on the doors, please, Mrs. Wrigley?
Sasquatch has got 2, and the rest 1. So Wagger's got 1, Tanuki D 1, Grace Griffin 1, and Lady Aptitude 1.
Everything to play for. All right. So this is kind of the last question. There'll probably be a couple of extras coming up.
What artist did we listen to at the closing ceremony?
What pop artist, did we listen to at the closing ceremony?
This was about 10 p.m.
Yeah, it was actually. It was
It
quite
was
late.
yeah.
Picasso, very, very well known.
It wasn't the real one.
It was a cover band. Beyonce, no. Michael Jackson, no. Take that. Napalm Death, Wagyu. Close, must be said, not.
Oh, somebody's got it.
Somebody got it.
Sinriser, is it?
Sinriser. The answer. Oh my gosh, it's Ed Sheeran. Well done, Sinriser. Well done. All right,
How
so
do I do quick?
we'll do the quickfire one. So,
So I just shout questions really fast.
Yeah, so basically that's it. We should have rehearsed this a bit. So we're going to do a quickfire, like the whole of this show, really.
Yeah, I was going to say, like the rest of the show, right?
So I can go. So what you do is I do the jingle, and you go. This is all about Richard. So you say to Richard, red or black, and he goes black, and then you say green or white, and he says green, and then you go blah blah blah, and you go. Blah. So it's
What if I
quickfire.
do it really, really fast?
You have to wait for him to answer it.
Oh.
Otherwise,
And my brain will
yeah.
struggle to keep up.
Yeah,
Probably.
do your best. So this
So
is a new.
is this between Loullamae and Richard?
Yes. So you can hold the scores for a moment. There's nothing to worry about. It's a new section. If you like it, we'll keep it in. We're trialing
Put
it.
your guest under real pressure section.
Yes, exactly.
Thanks. I'm glad I'm the guinea pig for this one.
There's only 5 or 6, 8 maybe. All right, you
Way
ready?
more than 8.
Yeah, there's only
Way
10.
more than 8. Oh, it's like my GCSEs all over again. Oh.
All right, this should be interesting. Are we ready?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay. I wonder if I can switch between you with the cameras. I'll try.
Burgers or cupcakes?
Burgers.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Tess or coffee?
Teas or coffee?
Oh, Tess
Coffee.
or
I'll have a Tess.
Tess is better.
2 sugars, though.
Town or country?
Country.
Bath or shower?
Shower.
Witches or wizards?
Wizards.
Text or call?
Call.
Chips or mash?
Chips.
Hot or cold?
Hot.
Analog or digital?
Digital.
Yay! Well played! Well played!
I win!
I think Richard should get a point for that
All right, we'll give Richard
as the new guy.
What did I just do?
You just were
for being the first contestant to do that.
Oh, fine. Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was no warning or anything. That's interesting. That was kind of cool. Do we think that's a good thing to do? Check what the chat says.
Yes.
Well played. No wrong answers. 1 point. It's
No.
about 10 points, surely, says Wagyu. There you go. You've won them over. Oh, lovely to see so many people in the chat answering them as well. Unfortunately, I'm so busy switching camera angles that only Mrs. Wiggly would have seen those. But yeah, maybe we can expand on that one a little bit somehow. Okay, so we have a couple of little things left. Just before we go into them, I believe there was one little thing I wanted to say. We've already said about Div Kid Ben's EMON meet in Leeds. If you did miss that earlier on because you were late into the show, next weekend in Leeds is Div Kid's modular meet. Let me just get rid of that little thing on the screen. And it's like a get-together for people with musical instruments and modular synths and that kind of stuff. So if you're up north in the UK next weekend, worth checking out. I had a couple of little extra things that I thought might be sharing. My musical knowledge of history, like my knowledge of musical types and styles outside of kind of my childhood and this music I do, is rubbish. Absolutely rubbish. So this is probably not news to anyone else, but there's this amazing album which I'd never even heard of, by Keith Jarrett, called The Colne Concert. Do you know this, Richard? Do you ever come across this?
I do, yeah.
I'm sure
I've
you
come
do.
across this.
It's incredible, and it turns out that it's a live recording of solo piano improvisations performed by Keith Jarrett at the Opera House in Cologne in Germany in 1975. It was released in the same year, and it became the best-selling solo album in jazz history and the best-selling piano album with sales of around 4 million. So I'm just about the only one left who's never heard this music. But don't let that four-letter word jazz put you off. It's got nothing to do with jazz as far as I can tell, and it's absolutely brilliant. And a friend of mine, we were discussing or talking about favourite records, and he said Hunky Dory and this one. And Hunky Dory is obviously the Bowie album that I do know and do love. So if you haven't, like me, come across Keith Jarrett and the Colne Concert, it's an epic album to put on and listen to, and not jazz, I would say. Unless you love jazz, it probably is jazz, but I wouldn't let that put you off. Second thing is, I saw a photo on Facebook from another friend of mine, and I hope he won't mind me sharing it. It's Richard England, who runs Cadiz Music, was out at the weekend with Charlie Harper, who is the original, well, he's behind one of the original hardcore punk bands called the UK Subs. And it just struck me as being such an amazing picture, because Charlie Harper, who is on there in the middle, is 78 years old, and he still gigs 150 to 200 gigs a year with the UK Subs, and has been doing so pretty much since 1975, when they were chart successful and they first kicked off, which is just think is absolutely astonishing to still be going. It's Richard England on the left with a weird wig on, because he actually has about as much hair as I do, to be honest. But yeah, I just thought that was sharing it. And what an inspiration, what an absolute inspiration that guy is, and 78 years old. So there's my 2 little points for the day. Do you want to do a big question, perhaps, or do you want to do Loullamae's Logic, and then we'll go on and we'll talk about
I don't have a big question.
Oh no! Oh, I did. I wrote you one, actually.
No, you didn't.
Oh. I gave you this one. Well, I'll do that one last, and I'll print it for you. Do you want to do Loullamae's Logic? Oh, this is just a car crash, isn't it? How about Loullamae's Logic? You ready?
Yeah. If you wear your socks for 4 days in a row, it's very good for the environment because you save on washing.
True facts. True facts. What do you think about that, Richard?
And you can watch it on completely.
Yeah, well, that's why I said
because you don't
5,
use
because I wear my
washing
socks for
anyways.
5.
Goodness me. I know, Inky. Tell me about
Inky's saying, how do you cope, Mrs Wiggly? What, just in general? Or with the socks?
Honestly. I've got a whole pharmacy. That's how I cope.
Do you see that question, Loullamae? I thought, to be fair, I thought that might be quite a nice one.
What question?
This one over here. It's a good question for Richard, but I have to be honest, I did write it as a backup. Do you want to try that one?
Okay.
All right, so this is Loullamae's big question for Richard. Brace yourself. Mind you, to be honest, the quickfire round was probably far more stressful than the big question.
My watch told me it was.
What's the naughtiest thing you have ever done?
Oh, no. No. Not one of those questions.
You need to share it now.
What's the yes, shareable?
Yeah, that's why I have a therapist. Okay, keeping it on the music theme, I did mime a gig once.
Oh!
So that's pretending to play whilst a mini disc played in the background.
And got away with it?
Got away with it.
Wow.
Until now.
Until this moment. You don't have to say which it should be. I have to say, there's a lot of love in the chat saying, what a terrible question. How a cruel question. Andrew Brooks says he stole a Yorkie from Woolworths. I hope that's a chocolate bar rather than the dog.
Gosh, that was a while back.
Yeah, that was a while
Yeah,
back.
it was actually. Yeah, it was. Well, Australian listeners, we don't have Woolworths anymore over here. It's still
Actually,
a big brand over there.
I stole the don't shoplift poster from a Woolworths.
That's terrible. Oh, Inky the cat's unfriending you.
Out. I'm guilty.
All right, I think, Mrs. Wiggly, do you have any questions for our lovely guest? Shall I? I'll run the WhatsApp first. Shall I? You never know, because you're always jumping.
Well, I didn't, but I'll just quickly come up with something, shall I?
Sorry. Shall I give you a bit more time?
No, don't give me time, because I can't think of anything.
There you go.
Do you have any calming music to help me with this? Just wondering. You obviously you enjoy what you do. You do music for calming music and for children, don't you? Around that, is it? Am I right in thinking that? Is that what you told me earlier, Mr. Wiggly?
Yeah, Mr. Wiggly had it completely and utterly wrong.
I said therapy for young people. Which
I am actually a qualified hypnotherapist, but I don't use that with young people. So I'm a music youth worker. So I encourage young people to participate in music, and especially electronic music.
Oh, right, okay.
So it's generally not that therapeutic, to be fair.
Right, okay.
Especially when somebody's figuring out a drum machine for the first time and has no idea about rhythms and beats. It's just like...
Which we will talk about very shortly.
Right, okay. No, in that case, I have
nothing. In that
case...
How do you program a TR-606?
I have nothing.
No, we'll talk about that now. I think. Are we kind of? Are we all done?
Yeah, I think we're done. Yeah. Does Loullamae need to draw anybody before we go?
No.
I can show them.
Yes, but you do need to show them the ones that you have done. So thank you very much indeed for that. Let's just show you the ones now. Which ones have we not shown? Can you remember? No. Well, I'm sure you'll find them. Hang on a second. Big up in the chat to everybody. Thank you so much for joining in on that wonderful quiz that overran a little bit, but actually was very entertaining. And what are the scores, Mrs. Wiggly? We always forget at the end to say who won.
Daddy, what do I say to this?
That one. Yeah. Do you have the scores, Mrs. Wiggly?
Yeah, Sasquatch won with 2 points.
And who were the runners-up?
And then everybody else got one. Wagyu, Tanuki D, Grace Griffin, Lady Aptitude, Sunriser, and Richard got one as well.
Brilliant. Fabulous. We should really get back and start our own league of winners again, but it got so hard to kind of sort out. Okay, so we've got a Richard Hilton rapidly being scribbled over at the moment. Well, not scribbled over, rapidly being finished off. This will only work if you know what Richard Hilton looks like. But as a regular guest on Sonic State, you should know. So there is Richard Hilton.
Oh, wow.
Which is really cool, actually. I think if I can find his original picture, I might be able to on here, if you give it a second. Richard Hilton, it wasn't that long ago. Here he is. This is Richard's original picture. And do you want to hold your one up, sweetheart? And there he is. So I think that's epic. Big round of applause and big love for that.
This one.
Hold on.
That was a good one as well.
That was amazing. Yeah, I think that's homegrown, isn't it?
I can't remember who it is, but
I don't have the original there, so that was cool. What I'll do is we'll put them up for next week side by side, because it really works when you can see the original pictures. Here we go. That was the original on that one, which is pretty good, huh?
Oh, and have you got Jen S? Because Jen S
Oh, yeah,
definitely
Jen
needs
S was
to come up.
ace.
That was brilliant as well.
Janice is away in a caravan, I think, at the moment at a festival, I believe, which looked absolutely amazing. She may have come back by now, to be fair. There she is. Not sure if I can find the original on that one. Hold on. But a lot of these are now appearing as Facebook profiles. So, yeah, if you want one, give us a shout. They really are amazing. But there's been Ben Simpson as well, Ray Malone. So cool.
I have them all together.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
What, in one shot? Oh, fantastic. Hold on one second then.
Some of them.
We should put them all together, really. Oh, wow. That's amazing. Okay, here we go.
Well, except for the bottom ones.
That's all right. Who's that?
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
That's an elephant. Okay. Yeah, that's a good collection.
Dora the
And
Explorer.
actually, Dora the Explorer.
Oh, when you were 3?
No, that was when I was 9.
Steady on. Steady on. Actually, thinking about it, we can make them all available as NFTs with my new Monkey NFT collection.
My NFT.
Oh,
Oh,
my
there's your NFT
NFT
at the bottom. So we will make them all available shortly. Okay. You two can have your own expensive JPEG. Just the same as any other JPEG, but expensive. Okie dokie. Right, well, I
okay,
think
time
that's
to go.
probably it. Thank you so much, people. In terms of not in the chat watching the show, please don't go away because we're now going to talk about proper music just for a little bit. Find out all about how to teach young kids how to use electronic musical equipment. Nothing to do with therapy, but you know, or maybe a little bit of hypnotherapy, perhaps.
Yeah.
You never know.
Look into the eyes, not around the eyes.
Fabulous. Thank you
Right.
so much, darling.
nice
You're gonna go and
nice to meet you,
Mummy a
Richard.
big
Bye
hug.
bye, everyone in the chat. Have a good evening. See you soon.
give... Thank you, Wigglies. Au revoir. And off they go. Just going to unplug the headphones and everything else and kick off half the cameras. So that can go, that can go, that can go. And we're all alone again. We're all alone. Yeah, Loullamae's commissioned an artist at such a young age. Do you think they noticed all the mess ups?
No, I don't think anyone spotted a thing.
Thank goodness for that. Right, I am going to play one of your amazing tracks, which I need to dig out very quickly, just as a little segue out of this, to get back into the normal world. This is...
I thought that was your normal world.
It pretty much is. It's the get on with it, Mr. Wiggly tends to happen quite a lot, to be fair. Well, Mr. Wiggly. I'm going to share this wonderful screen and we are going to have a quick listen to one of your epic tracks, which I think is absolutely wonderful. And hopefully everyone will like it. So let's see what we can do. Hide that. Do that. Oops. Not that. Here we go.
done. Stop.
That is just insanely good. Hold on one second. I've got you on there. Yeah, just amazing. What can I say? It just sounds. That's literally all coming out of the poly end.
It's all out of that tracker. Yeah, yeah. And you only have 8 tracks to play with, so you've got to be pretty selective. But if you've ever had a go on a tracker, every single track could be something different, from timing to, and if you just think at every single beat is just a different timing or a different sample, or it's just incredible what they can do.
Even so, though, was there any kind of post-processing on the track to make it sound mastered very much?
The Poly-N tracker does have a compressor in it, and it does have an EQ, like an overall master EQ.
But you didn't stick it through any other...
No, that's just straight into a Tascam. I mean, I was on holiday, so it was literally just what could I fit in a bag.
The bass in particular. I mean, someone was mentioning it. You know, the Bob Van Hoover was saying the bass is shaking. I mean, it really was. Sounded really nice and mastered on these headphones, which is brilliant.
It's a good machine.
Amazing. John Brown's saying it was a tracker sequencer on my Atari ST that got me into music production, which kind of nicely ties into everything we were saying.
There's a lot of love out there for the Atari ST tonight. That's just great.
And who else? Jezza was saying, I've not used a tracker since the Amiga days. I feel the need.
Yeah.
I mean, they are coming in. It's just another, I don't know, it's useful to have things that take you out of your workflow. Certainly for me. That's why I got the Deluge originally many years ago, because I used to sit down at the keyboard and turn the computer on and then play the same chords every time. And, and then get the same kick drum out and do that, And it's nice to force yourself to think in a slightly different manner. Big up to BG Ollie, Banjo Guy Ollie, who's got a fantastic channel of his own, does some amazing stuff, saying now he wants to buy a tracker poly end. You may have sold one.
There we go.
So tell me a bit about not necessarily the process for that, but, and first of all, let me paste your YouTube channel info into the chat. And we'll give everyone time to go and subscribe and then pop back, which would be really good. So this is going to go into all the chats on Facebook and everywhere else. Pop over there and let's see if we can get some more subs, because you've got like 250 odd subs at the moment. So I think we need to get that up to a few more. So if you would all mind popping over there, we can wait. Don't forget to pop back though. Don't get caught up in the jams. Obviously, please. BG Elliot says, I still power up Pro Tracker every now and then and export the tracks back into the DAW for final touches, but it does force me to work in a different way. Yeah, 100%. Although for you, is it a common way of working now then, Richard? Is that kind of your work of choice?
No, it's just one of the disciplines. I think, coming out of the sort of, we haven't sort of touched on the electronica side of what I got into later, but being heavily into the sort of drill and bass scene and some of the sort of, being influenced by the jungle as well. In the early days, a lot of that was done on trackers, so you could get those sharp break changes. It was just another discipline that, as an electronica artist, it's like you need to know, and you should kind of go and test out and see if it works for you. It may not, but I mean, I'd already dabbled with trackers anyway inside of the DAW, but the Poly-N tracker just being a tactile thing just really spoke to me. And I think for anyone that's coming to it for the first time, it's not an easy thing to wrap your head around straight away, but I think you just persevere with it, and when it clicks and you start to see the possibilities that are laid out in front of you, you'll just be like, you can be mind blown by it, because the only problem possibly with a tracker is that it's infinitely tweakable. You can mess with every single step. You can really go in there and be very, very anal about it. So sometimes you have to sort of take a step back from tracker music and just be like, I just need to play a keyboard and kind of flow a little bit, because it is very mathematical. It is quite a spreadsheet type approach.
Nice.
which again is not everyone's cup of tea.
I quite like that. Anything that makes you work in a different way, like we're saying, is good. I think you got 260 subscribers, so it's helping. So everyone, pop over there, get subbing if you wouldn't mind. The link is in the chat just above, and I'll put all of the links afterwards. YouTube, when we finish, takes a day and a half or so to crunch through our live stream and turn it into a normal viewable video, and has the chat available. So we'll put it under the video as well after that. So that's cool. So in terms of, I guess we know how you got here. What are you doing now in terms of equipment and work through, and any sort of things to share about what inspires you, and a typical musical kind of day in the life of
typical musical day in the life of Doak 16. Well, there's it's just had a shot here, but beside me is the sort of shelf of shame, which is the gear that's sort of not being used at the time. But I tend to, and I've heard other people say the same thing actually, is if I'm thinking about albums and I'm thinking about sort of actually writing, then I sort of look at gear as a member of a band, and I've heard lots of people sort of say it this way, that I don't need every piece of kit to make this one particular track or this album.
Yeah.
You know, I'm looking for specific sounds that I know certain pieces of gear can do, and I've been quite choosy over the bits of gear that I've bought over the years in terms of like they have a sound or a flavour, or they bring a different workflow to the table. So it's a constantly, this is ever evolving behind me really, and it gets switched up quite often. Are
you good at selling gear?
No, absolutely shocking. Absolutely shocking. It's always the reason for, I'll buy it because if I don't get along with it, I'll sell it.
I can always sell it.
And I never do. So no.
So what's the gear of choice behind you?
At the minute, well, I am very much enjoying all of the polyam bits and pieces. So I've got the polyam play, which again is another mind shift in terms of it's got this pick and play system, which at first was it's a real head scratcher, because I'm used to kind of putting something on a sequencer and it might be the kick drum track, and then that is always the kick drum track, and so you kind of go into edit and you're just editing your kicks. But the pick and play system is that you put in your kick drum on that line, and you've got another 8 lines to sort of add your sounds to, but you pick the next sound, which would be your snare, and then you're like, I just want to change my kick. So you go back over and you push and you just add a snare. That line isn't just your kicks. Yes. So I'm forever just messing up my patterns, because I just want to switch the kick from there to there. And I've just added a snare, and I'm like, oh no, let's go over here. And now I've added a snare in the hi-hats. And it's like, oh, for goodness sake. So the pick and play system was a bit of a head scratcher to start with, and I didn't like it at all. But now I'm kind of familiar with it. You know, you see a bit of gear, and you're trying to.
We had a very, very brief. Well, we stopped talking about it before the show because I thought we'd better be talking about it on here because we've said everything. But it was one of 2 things from Berlin that I've said it before that I really love: the polyam play and the Terra from Soma. And it wasn't finished when I used it over there, and they're clearly still working on it now. But it's releasable, and they're just doing improvements now. But it was very smooth and tactile, and just a very, very nice thing. I thought very, very creative to use. It didn't put anything in your way particularly. And I know I was also talking to Electronic Sounds, Dean from Electronic Sounds, who's saying in the chat he's loving his poly as well. I don't own one. I'd love to have one. Saying it has its quirks, and you can see that there are things that need to be updated, but it's on its way. And the one thing so far with Polyam is they always do the updates. You know, they always come through. I don't think it's some.
I was an early adopter of the Medusa, and by the time it sort of got to the end of its run and became the sort of a legacy piece of gear that they changed it and added, and it became an FM synth. I mean, the amount of extras that they gave you, even when it was completely when they didn't need to. It was very late in its life that they added FM. I'm kind of becoming a bit of a fan of companies that support their gear for a time, because I think Dreadbox are another one that seem to keep supporting their gear pretty well. Yeah. So it feels like you're not just buying this product and what you get, that's it. Yeah. It's like, no, there's going to be some changes, there'll be some tweaks, and it may even become even more exciting down the line. So, the Polyam Tracker is another good example, really. they've done huge amounts of work on that, and it's still being worked on. So who knows what's yet to come out of that thing.
Yeah. Will Joseph was asking Dean if he recommended it. I mean, he certainly recommended it to me. Oh, he's already said in the chat it's recommended. I mean, I think I was looking at, there were 2 quirks that Dean mentioned to me which would be nice to kind of fix. One is stereo sample playback. It's only mono at the moment, but I'm sure that will come. That's an obvious one. I can't remember the other one actually. It was really minor little niggly bits, but the MIDI implementation is improving. It's so clearly an amazing thing that will come together over the next 6 months, you know. And I think it's because, for example, Akai had a bad reputation at being slow to update things and release things a little bit half finished, which they squashed a little bit with the more recent updates to the MPC range, which is brilliant. But they went through a whole period of time of not really updating stuff. And I think with Polyend, you can pretty much trust that, they know it's not finished completely and they will make it better, and you can be fine. And not only that, if they get it out there, they'll be working on feedback from real users rather than a small team of beta testers with everyone kind of scratching at the door. So I think it's a good thing. And certainly what I played with in Berlin, even at that stage, I was like thinking, I really want one of these. I really, really want them. It's just little things like sliding your finger across the buttons brings them all on really smoothly, almost like they're very, very easy to switch on buttons. I know it sounds weird, but you're almost on a touch screen, but they're buttons. It's really, really, really nice, So, can't knock it at all.
But I'm not here to just sell Polyend gear.
No, exactly. Just I can wipe everyone's memory. Hold on, here we go. What just happened? I can't remember. Right, we were going to talk about some of your gear. Yeah, what have you got behind you?
Lots of other things that aren't Polyend.
No, I'm not interested in Polyend. Anything but Polyend behind you?
Yes, there is. There's certainly some Electron gear. I picked up the machine drum very early on. A few of my electronica friends were using that for live performance and in studios, and I was really impressed with how clever that was.
Nice.
And then I picked up the mono machine as well, and those 2 machines were a big staple of my music for quite some time actually. Mm-hmm. The Octatrack, again, incredibly weird, but it just the vision that was how they came up with that schematic and just figured out how they were going to make that. I have no idea.
It's mad, isn't it?
Because it is just bonkers.
10 years old now?
It is, but it is still so incredibly powerful.
No, I have one. I bought just before the Deluge, actually. And I thought, okay, and I ended up buying a Deluge as well. And they are completely different, but it was to do fundamentally the similar kind of thing. But there's still nothing for sample mangling and the crossfader, and it's a complex thing, and I'm not sure how easy it would be to improve the UE on such a complex thing. I'm sure a UE designer might be able to, but do you know what I mean? People say it's complicated, but it is a complicated it does complicated things. It's brilliant.
I think it was one of just those really unique boxes that there probably won't be anything ever quite like it again. And
absolutely.
There's never been anything quite like it before. So it's just one of those quirks of electronic music gear that's just going to be very, very special, and I can only see their value just shooting up in the future. As they get discontinued.
Yes,
they're just magical, really.
Yeah, completely.
Love them or hate them, and there's plenty of people that have picked them up and just like, I can't, and I've heard it before with other complicated bits of gear, is you've got to keep using those bits of gear because you step away from them for 5 minutes and you've forgotten everything. So it's one of those as well, which can be frustrating.
I'm glad you said that, actually. I thought I was the only one, but I'll start again. Here we go.
And there is an Electron workflow, which those that are familiar with it, is you kind of have to do things the Electron way, but it's still very good gear, and there's a reason why sort of the shows like the Hardware Jams, you just see that gear constantly being shown, and generally speaking, that gear is at the top of the list when it comes to voting as well. It's just it's very well thought out.
Yeah, it's got the right number of outputs. It's got the really, really nice piece of kit. Really, really nice piece. Inky, the wonderful Inky, Queen Inky, saying, what's your favourite genre? Which is an interesting question.
Ooh, favourite genre. I am... Well, I'm a musicophile really, so I do like a lot of different things. I'm heavily into the electronica scene, so the sort of Warp Records-esque type stuff. So anything with those sort of hard breaks and lots of cutting up and glitching, I'm always a big fan of. But I'm also, minimalist and classical and just anything. It's just really, really all over the place. And I wouldn't like to sort of say that one thing is any better than the other, really. So yeah. Sorry, rubbish answer.
No, it's very hard to put that into words. I mean, it's very, very hard. John, I don't want to bang on about the Deluge at all, but we will ask every question if we can. Have you experienced the workflow on the Deluge at all, Richard?
Have I? No, not at all. No, I've seen, again, in hardware jams, there's a lot of jammers using that one. It looks interesting, and it looks like a thing that I would probably get along with. But it just hasn't happened, and
it's another thing that you won't sell.
Well, and it's another thing that I will tell myself. But if I don't get on with it, I'll sell it, and I won't.
You are kind of covered. To be fair, for the music that you're doing with the poly end and the octatrack, you are covered.
Yeah, and anything. I think anything sample based at this point, because I've got so many sample based machines. Even with the poly end play, the fact that it was mono, it was like I'm not worried. I've got an octatrack. I've got the Digitact. I've got other samplers as well. So that wasn't for me. It was like, the MIDI could get really exciting on this later on. It could actually be the central brain of a whole setup.
That's what it felt like. Even though it doesn't have synthy stuff built in, it's like you can control really nicely from the look of it other synths and stuff. And that needs some more work on the MIDI side of things, but really, really nice. If you don't want to be running a computer, it's very close to what feels like the best thing around. I think that's what I came away thinking it could be.
It does a lot of different sequences, like sequencing types. So not just your like sort of forward, backward bounce. It does some really, really interestingly weird ones that, for somebody at the sort of experimental end of electronic music, I'm more than
all the
happy
Turing machine style.
Yeah,
stuff
all of that sort of stuff, and just like that sort of random throwing of a dice type stuff. Which
lovely.
Also works. Some of that stuff works in the MIDI side of things as well. So you're kind of throwing random chants into all of your other gear, which is again just really it's like breathing life into something that that just doesn't sequence that way. Without something different. So I'm excited, and I've yet to really scratch the surface with it. So.
Nice. Well, keep on going on the questions while they're slamming in. Look, API, what's your dream gear? It's something maybe you haven't got.
There's a couple of machines that I've completely forgotten the name of at this moment in time, but there's one that's a box dedicated to granular synthesis.
Oh, right.
And it's I don't think it's a particularly big company that makes it, but I think it might be the only thing they make. But that looked really, really interesting. It's been around a little while, but I've just kept my eye. It's expensive, so maybe I'll pick that one up. And then there's another synth out there at the minute that kind of works in like the three-dimensional realm. It just seems to make some incredible sounds. It's throwing that one.
Well, that is an opportune moment, because I was looking for this for a different reason. How bizarre.
Yeah.
As if I had this one prepared earlier. Yeah. This is amazing. Now, the reason I kind of went down to get this is because I wanted to trail a video that I was going to put out on Wednesday about the Vector. So it's brilliant that you mentioned they are amazing. They are a different way of synthing. It's it's a pun, but it sort of puts a spin on everything. So the oscillators aren't like normal oscillators. They kind of blend harmonics together, and the filters aren't quite like normal filters because you can stick them in different parts of the chain, and there are 4 synths that kind of warp. And it's crazy. Anyway, but I made a video about this eventually. It took me ages because I've had it for about 9 months, and that will be going live on Wednesday on this channel at 7 p.m. So I'll do a coming up shortly for that. If anyone is watching, please subscribe if you're not subscribed. And if you fancy getting some info on this, I've done a video, and it's the first one. It's complicated, so I didn't go too deeply in it. I'll do another deep dive if people want to, but it's the first gear kind of thing that I've done, non-live stream that I've done for a while, and first of many as well. There's one that coming out on the Pulsar. Someone else mentioned they wanted a Pulsar 23, so a Pulsar from Soma. I'm doing one on that, one on the Lyra, and one on the T8, the new little drum machine thing. So there's at least one a week coming out from now on. So please do hit subscribe if you haven't. And I'd love if you watch the Vector one, not because I need the views, I just love some feedback because it's early days for me doing gear videos again. But yeah, I'd recommend those things actually. Coming from the back of it, it came up with sounds. For me, one of the things about it, and I don't want to, obviously, last bit about this, we won't go deep into it, but everything synchronizes to your DAW. So all of the warping and the filters and you can make these really long rhythmic kind of things out of it. So not just long drones, obviously, but they all kind of synchronize. It's quite interesting. So yeah, well, I'm glad that's on your list because they're a small company, a couple of really clever guys. Adamski has an excellent question. How do you approach making your tracks? Percussions, breaks, or music and sounds first? And what usually sparks the fire?
Oof, okay. I think, I don't know, we're all electronic musicians in here, I think. So it's nothing particular that sparks the idea. It can be anything from, I'm just going to sit down and take a generative reactor patch that I've made and let it spit out something and see if that sparks an idea. It might be I sit down with the keyboard in front of me and actually play some keys and get a, start with a piano even. Or it could be, I will have a very set idea of a rhythm or a beat, or I've heard a sample so there's nothing really set in stone that's like, okay, I'm going to sit down and this is the workflow. I like to because whether you explore my channel or not, you'll see that my music's eclectic. It does go through a lot of disciplines and tries lots of experimental things. I'm trying lots of different things. So to sit down in front of a keyboard every time is very limiting. And again, to sit down in front of the same piece of gear every time is very limiting. Even though you get comfortable with something behind you and it's like, oh, I don't really want to break this up, but I should, because I'm getting too comfortable with this now. So so to keep the experimental side of my workflow going, it is a case. And again, that's why the DAW is another option. Go in there and make everything in there, or use hardware exclusively, or just do a bit of both. And so there's no hard and fast rules. It's just, let's just get in there and sort of
do something. Do you generally end up with everything in the DAW to mix, or it'll end up in the DAW. Yeah, it will end up in the DAW and it will get mastered down there. And there might be some, some of this gear now has got so complex and so clever itself that there's not a lot of manipulation you have to do. I can run it through my desk, I can have a compressor on it, and then it can just go into the sound card, and there's not a lot of finishing that needs to be done really. And I spend a lot of time in that mixer actually, because I try and get the sounds as balanced as I can. It helps for hardware jams as well, because you're trying to just record a live set, so why not, when you're actually just sitting down to write a track, why don't you just have your sounds fairly well balanced to start with? So I do a lot of hard work in just getting things set nicely, and then there's no hard and fast rules for any of it really. It's just go with it, go with the gut. And I tend to be one of those that will always finish a track no matter how bad it seems to be going, because I'm a great believer of, again, I think the electronica genre sort of leans heavily towards like post effects and manipulation and cutting things up. So it doesn't really matter sometimes like how well the tune has gone, because by the time I'm finished with it, it could be a completely different thing, but it will still, the core will still be in there, and it will just be remanipulated in some way until I'm satisfied with that sort of particular sound. So there's I kind of can just kind of sort of throw stuff in and start working with it really. Brilliant.
Working with chance in a way.
Well, that's really cool. I think Electronic Sounds Dean has come to the rescue with Tasty Chips. Is that synth that you were thinking about?
Yeah, Tasty Chips, yeah.
Which was a GR1.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want that. Hang on. I did have a picture lined up of it. This one.
And I think from the I think it's just an Arduino essentially inside of a box, but it sounds great. And I've got a lot of granular stuff inside the DAW, and a reactor especially is fantastic for a lot of granular type stuff. But I would just like a piece of hardware that's very dedicated to that one specific task.
Yeah. I've got a couple of modular bits.
I mean, you can do it in the tracker, but the tracker's not
really?
designed. Yeah, it's not designed for it, and it's quite a simplistic granular synth. But it does do granular, and you can.
There's a lot to be had out of real-time granularing stuff with a couple of knobs and stuff. I mean, really, with a nice bit of reverb and
unworldly sounds from them.
Yeah, absolutely. Will Joseph, I think, has just picked up on the fact that I said we ask every question. On which body part of a naked elephant would you place a piece of violet silk? What can I say?
On its toenail.
Of course.
on its painted toenail.
Might have to review that policy now, but you've spoiled it for everyone now, Will. Spoiled it for everyone. I Sing saying, is the Vector synth available? I know someone who's interested. Yes, it is. Only just.
It's only just come out. But they've had
the usual shortages.
It seemed to be doing the rounds on YouTube for a while. I spotted it a good while back, but it must have been in some sort of demo form.
Yeah, like I said, I've had this for 9 months. Well, what happened was they were available and then they weren't again because of the chip shortages. So they just couldn't sell them, as in they couldn't make them to sell them. Now they're back, and they've been back in stock for I think about 2 weeks, and there's quite a lot going on. So, and it really is 2 guys as well. I was just like, this is what a nice. It's good that people like that are around and able to make that kind of stuff.
Well, I was thinking about this earlier, and we were talking about sort of picking up that early gear and sort of free ads and sort of roaming around trying to find what you get. But there was so few companies out there, so there wasn't lots and lots of sort of small boutiques. You really did have like the big names. It was Korg, it was Roland.
Yes.
There wasn't this sea of unknown sort of independents that were just cracking out some really fantastic. So right now it just seems to be fantastic, and it's scary, isn't it? Because you look at that and you just think it's an incredibly beautiful looking synth.
Yes.
I can't believe that there's only 2 people behind it.
And
they're actually the guy that I've seen on YouTube from the company is also the guy that soldered the damn thing together. It's bizarre, but we live in that time. So
it's the GL1's Pi based inside, and I mean, there's now a new operating system for the Pi which removes all the other operating systems. It's like a headless operating system, so you don't boot Unix and then write your stuff on the Pi. You're literally addressing the core fundamental BIOS of the thing to say, okay, so it makes it so that avoids all the problems with timing and interrupts firing off and getting in the way of your timing and all this kind of stuff. I've seen a couple of people demoing what they are able to do with something like a Raspberry Pi these days on audio, and it is insane. It's just incredible. And it makes me feel better, because if you look and say, it's just a Raspberry Pi and they're like 30 quid, the amount of development and work that has to go into that, and the beauty of the touchscreen and all the rest of it is more than the price, particularly when you're dealing with 2 guys who are having to deal with rising component costs and rising exchange rates. And it's just brilliant. So very, very pleased. And the GR, that's the GR1. I'm not sure what's inside the Vector. I think they've got a custom processor of some kind in there. But yeah, if you can do that stuff with a Raspberry Pi, hopefully that will lead to more of these kind of things coming out. And maybe a unit that's got a lot of sliders and buttons and knobs on and a nice touchscreen, which you can load stuff into. So it could be a granular synthesizer, or it could be something else. Do you know what I mean? It could be a host.
I've struggled with some of those over the years, though. I've got the I've forgotten the name, the Argonel, which you can program in PD. And when I picked it, I already knew about PD, and I'd already dabbled with PD, and I thought, this is fantastic. It's just, I can make it whatever I want it to be. A bit like Reactor in a way. And you're kind of left with, I don't know what I want it to be.
Yeah, that's a fair comment.
You're then you end up with, and you have got the hardware there, but you have to load it in, and you have to, and so I've kind of fallen out of love with the things that can be all and everything.
That's fair enough. No, that's fair. I've actually, there's a bit box, a 1010 bit box in my rack, can be a synth, can be an effects rack, and can be a sampler. And I've never tried the other two bits that it could be. You find the bit you like, and
and the Nord modular was another one for me.
Oh, sorry about that. Hand slipped, but thank you anyway.
Well, big cheer for Nord.
The Nord modular. Yeah, it's the key phrase. Every time Nord's recognised, it fires it off. It's like that QI kind of thing. The Nord modular was. Did you say?
Yeah, that was
okay.
one of those boxes that could be an effects unit. It could be a drum machine, it could be a synth, it could, fire off some wacky FM percussion. It could be sort of almost anything. And
nice.
you end up with the box and you've got the presets on there, but you're like, what do I want it to be today? And so I end up sort of not using it in a way. Because I'm just, forever thinking what the next thing it could be. So, yeah.
Indeed. Okay, well, a couple more. I haven't forgotten. We're running a little bit longer than usual. If it's okay with you, all right with that? Because I'd love to talk more about the young people and music as well. Just got a little bit carried away. Two more questions. I think Sinrise is saying quickly, what's your favourite VST?
Reactor is. I run it as a VST inside of Cubase. I think ultimately because it's so powerful, but. Yeah, there's lots of great VSTs out there. A lot of freeware.
Oop. Was that me or you?
Oh, I don't know if that's me or you.
Okay, no worries. No. I got it. We got it.
Okay, cool.
And there's a couple of questions about visuals without getting too deeply into them. It looks like you're a bit of a cool kind of visual artist as well as...
I dabble, yeah. Yeah, well, along with the electronic scene, you've always had visuals and projection mapping and all that sort of stuff. And so... Again, as another one of the disciplines that you learn along the way, it's like, how was this stuff being done? I think there was an Auteca video years ago that, in terms of its graphic design, and I then met how it was made, and they sort of gave me a heads up, and it was like, okay, they actually made this. This wasn't generative.
Yeah.
So I did like After Effects, and there's Arena, which is kind of like After Effects in real time that does projection mapping. That's a cool piece of kit, and JavaScript as well for just kind of creating assets is a tool that I use. So a lot of that stuff, but that's like a whole different topic completely.
Maybe we'll bring that up next time. Wow. Okay, so youth working, music, and young people, and
yes.
I know nothing, particularly as I thought it was something else before when we started. So, how does that actually work? What's involved with that?
I work for the youth service. So I live in Devon. I'm in the southwest of England, in Devon. So I fell into youth work about 17 years ago. I'd moved back from London, having kind of left Devon for the big smoke. And are we all good? Yeah.
Yep.
And and I kind of lived in Brighton, did electronica up in Brighton, and I kind of went up into London and found that a much bigger pond. And did a bit of touring, released records, and kind of did the electronica circuit at that time. And I moved back to the southwest when my daughter was due, and we needed a quieter life. So I came back to quiet old sort of Devon. Found there wasn't much of a live scene, generally speaking, unless you're a sort of pub gigging band. But as an experimental electronic artist, there wasn't much out there. So I. Youth centre that was looking. They had some music gear, and they had an old PC computer, and they had Cubase, and so they were looking for a music youth worker, but the specific skill they needed was somebody that knew how to use Cubase. Somebody pointed out to me and said, "Oh, you'd be good at that, Rich." So that started the journey really, and I got the job. Thank you, Atari and Cubase.
Wow, fantastic!
I got that job, and no sooner had I got that job than one of the bosses that overheard that this Exmouth Youth Centre was getting a music youth worker put their hand up and said, "We're out in Honiton. We've got a small music space. Can we have him as well?"
Oh wow!
And so it was like, okay. Well,
that was
so
a good day.
They phoned me up and offered me the job and said, "And while you're at it, do you want to do an extra night a week over in this other place called Honiton and work with their studio?" So
wow.
So and then it just snowballed. It seemed like every youth centre actually to fix to mothball old bit, what it was, and just tell it or fix it.
Wow.
That grew really quickly, and so I started to rebuild and redesign service. So yeah, at that point, austerity, we had 32 years. Sadly, the so the music provision across it, because this is open access youth clubs with a DJ booth with some decks in it, records, and a cubbyhole room with a music studio piece of software on it. But wow. I developed it and updated the studios and kind of really, you know, reached out to some companies, and like Ableton came back to us and gave us loads of pushes, and, you know, updated the DJ gear to move into and that sort of MP3 sort of track to DJing style, and just move it forward. And we young people, and we were bring music workshops across the county and doing special needs and working. You know, it was young people learning a skill from me that then they would pass on to their peers, and that's the model, really. So ultimately, that
sounds brilliant.
I teach a young person.
Yeah, really good, really good. We just getting
I don't have a job.
Yeah, you're doing yourself out of a job, I guess. I'm not sure if you're seeing. We're getting a bit of lag on your video at the moment.
Is it me? Is it?
I think so. Yeah, someone's firing up a PlayStation in your lounge, maybe downstairs. We shall see, but it might be me. It might be me. I don't know if anyone can tell me if it's me or Richard, but it's okay. We carry on and just check out what's happening. But it does look like maybe you're running out a little bit of steam on the broadband at your end, but we'll see. I missed the last little bit. We'll give it a go and see if it's improved. We got, I think, all the way to the bit where it had expanded and it exploded, and you had like 39 somethings, and then suddenly it sort of went a little bit mashed. So can you fill it in from that point?
Well, yeah. So the county of Devon, which is a big rural county, had 32 youth centres, and then we hit austerity and the cuts, and, you know, lots of people were affected by cuts at that time. But the youth service was crippled across the country. So we went down to 8 youth centres. We had like 400 staff at that time, but we were reduced to 50 and 8 youth clubs across the county. So those were difficult times. But you look at counties across the border. Cornwall lost their youth provision. Somerset, they had 2 youth workers by the end of it. So we didn't do too badly in terms of what was happening across. Birmingham completely lost its entire youth service. So it was a terrible time, but we weathered the storm and managed to just hold on to a core, and we've basically been rebuilding ever since. So now I got to sort of work on the European level as well, and do a sort of similar model across Spain, France and Portugal. And sort of, so yeah, it's taken me on a journey, and yeah, there's nothing more inspiring than just seeing, you know, 2 young dudes that are just playing with a piece of hardware, and it just locks in all of a sudden, and then their heads start to nod in time, and they look at each other, and they're just like, yeah, we've arrived. And it's like, no, you haven't. You've got a long way to go, but
you've got it. You've definitely got
the
it.
Spark, and that's all I'm looking for, you know. So
wow.
that's what gets you up in the mornings.
That is awesome. And what in particular kind of gear would that be as a kind of intro to the scene? What's your...
So Ableton, yeah, I mentioned whether it was when I was breaking up, but I reached out to Ableton. We reached out to Ableton at one point. They sent us a load of pushes, so we use pushes, but we've got bits of hardware. I bring some of my hardware as well, which is always risky, but I do take some of the more tactile things that are more simple. So I'll take a TR8 or something and just you know, push that button, and it does what that button says, whereas the Ableton push is like, that button can be this, and this, and that's can get a bit too much for a young person. So it's a bit like, this machine does one job, it's the drums. And all you need to do is push that button, and you can see the eyes light up with the relationship between light on, kick drum on. Light on, kick drum on, and then fill all the lights up, all the kick drums are on, but it sounds awful, and
Yes.
then you start to you teach the pattern making and where certain beats of certain genres, and you start to talk about BPM, and you just see slowly pennies dropping. And then there's so many great pieces of free hardware out there for young people, for their mobile phones, for their laptops, so you don't have to. There was a time in our studios where we had like Apple Macs, and it was all very exclusive, and we were running Logic, and if you only had a Mac, you only had Logic, and schools were doing the same thing, and it was like, no, this isn't inclusive enough, this isn't getting young people, they're just being sort of a sweet is being waved in front of their eyes. So we've moved beyond that now, and and great bits of free gear that we'll try and work out and introduce young people to, and try and make it as exclusive to every platform as it can possibly be.
That is amazing. If anyone's watching that would like to kind of get involved in sponsoring you in some way, or hardware wise or whatever, where can they find? Who do they get in touch?
Space PSM. So Space Youth Services. If you look at Devon, if you look that up, you'll find us. And we are a charity now, so we spun out. And so we still deliver Devon County's youth work, but we're an independent charity now. And also because there's so many musicians here, I mean, I've always been reaching out to musicians that, if you're parting with any bit of gear that you think has served its purpose, or it might not be of any use anymore in this sort of throwaway culture that we now live in, there might be some young people that could really benefit from that piece of gear if you want to get in contact.
Okay, we've got the link in there again. I'll put that link underneath the video if you're coming back rather than watching it live. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. You're very welcome to subscribe as well, please. That's just such a good thing to have. I think it just sounds such a really, really cool thing. And have you had any sort of stories back about people who've gone on to bigger musical things, or any positivity, or do you follow people beyond?
Well, I mean, youth work's a funny thing, really, because it's open to all, and it's open access. So I mean, it's not just music inside youth clubs. You've got everything from the basics like pool tables, ping pong, right the way through to arts and crafts and sports and all sorts of different disciplines for all sorts of different young people. So we're catering for all. But what you do get is, you get a point where they reach a point in time where they don't need the service anymore. So they just walk out the door one day and they're gone. So you just don't know what happens to the story. So you do get the occasional one that pops back, and it's like, oh, I went on to music college and I'm up in Bristol now and I work in a music shop, or and it's like, oh, that's fantastic. But for a lot of the time, you don't hear those stories. So maybe I'll crop up in some memoirs somewhere later on down the line.
Absolutely.
You just don't. You're just those first baby steps into.
Somewhere there's going to be someone that says, "Oh, there was this guy Richard."
Yeah.
And honestly, man, he changed my life, and I wonder what.
Or it might be just there was this guy. I can't even remember his name.
But it's just the spark, and I mean that's enough to be. To be fair, it wasn't until about 5 years ago that I wrote to my old music teacher at school, who'd kicked me off on this road so brilliantly, and thankfully, he was still alive, and he remembered, and I hadn't spoken to him for so long. And I've just felt so much better for actually telling him that, the difference that he'd made and how brilliant it had been, and thank you so much. And it just occurred to me that I'd never mentioned it,
Yeah.
So yeah, if you were influenced by someone at school, well, please send them.
Put it in the comments.
Put
it in the comments.
Yeah,
I'd love to read and see how that was.
Well, I think we should talk more about the youth work at some other stage, if that's possible.
Yeah, that
maybe
would
do
be
a little
great.
special or something, because we've only touched on it. And
I don't. Yeah, if there's anyone else out there sort of doing a similar thing again, it'd be maybe nice to get a couple of us, because one of the things that I've done over my career is I've had to figure it out for myself, because I wasn't a music youth worker. I was the first one that the organisation employed. So a lot of it was like just finding my way through and figuring out how this could be a thing. And and I did get awarded at one point and in contribution to the people of Devon, which was like a proud moment. It was so somebody up there in County Hall has
noticed and
that labour of love and that.
Oh, that is outstanding. Well, congratulations. And yes, if anyone happens to be watching the stream in a similar role, drop us a line, because it would be really good to do a special on that. And if anyone knows anybody else, absolutely brilliant idea. Thank you very much. Goodness me, it's 9:15. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
It's been
right.
Such
Sorry.
a long. I blame
Thank you,
Mrs.
thank
Wiggly
you
and
everyone for
Loullamae,
sticking
to be
around.
honest.
Yeah, we had a little extended
Quiz, wasn't it? That's the trouble. And so, to be honest, Mrs. Wiggly was the one saying get on with it. So I guess it is my fault, to be fair. So sorry about that, everybody. Yeah, thank you so much, Richard Doak, for coming. Doak16. I'm going to put his YouTube channel in the chat once again. There we go. Please go and subscribe. I'm not sure how many subscribers that we've got. Let's have a look. So apologies if it kicks off into some music, but we had about 250, I think, at the beginning of the stream. So we'll see if that pops up and tells us how many we got now. We've got 262. So if anyone else hasn't subscribed or would fancy it, we're obviously increasing that number a little bit, which is really, really cool. So huge thanks to you, Richard. Thank you so much to everyone in the chat. And especially everyone who's donated to Great Ormond Street Hospital through the use of supers, all of the money from which, including anything YouTube take as a commission, we make that up. It goes all the way through to Great Ormond Street Hospital. If you fancy donating direct on our behalf rather than coming through YouTube, go to mrwiggly.co.uk/gosh. GOSH, Golf Oscar Sierra Hotel, Great Ormond Street Hospital. So it's mrwiggly.co.uk/gosh. And that will take you to the Just Giving page that goes directly there. YouTube won't take any commission, which is obviously we make that bit up. Leave a little note and we'll add you to the list of donators. Absolutely wonderful thing. And yeah, it's all gone extremely well. So thank you. Apologies in advance, or no, it's not in advance at all. Apologies for a slightly weird start to the show where I was still attempting to wire everything up. I'm going to write a list for the next one. I should know after 58 shows that it's quite important to have the camera in the right place for Loullamae and Mrs. Wiggly's mic actually working and the horn on. Those are probably the first three things. But anyway, hopefully that it was enjoyable anyway in some respect. Thanks again, Richard. I really, really appreciate your time. Best of luck with the music and also with the youth work. It's been fabulous. And I'll see you all here same time next week. Thanks a lot. Take care, everyone.
Connect so with the earth pipe, link up the harmonized, left the termite. But beyond obsolete blessings, a birthright. We live a life which a lot more in us all worldwide. Cosmic love energy, I go herbicide free, organically, me say worthwhile. Watch the way one of you term points in terms of definitions and some termites. Get sidechecked the eye. One side is defined by one side the other. I.e. I am an ideas man. I assign too much of the qualities of my guy. Who's way back talking like there's two of me? One is a construct, one is a creativity. The supreme one, all encompassing information in and of itself, most definitely. Another life infinitely, most life infinitely. Beyond the scripture, niceness can be. Blessed be. I continually, Mr. Pick up a being, that's the infinity, yes.